So for all we know, the next 4 years will be a period of prosperity and constitutional freedoms in Central North America. But there are also some indicators that a Euro-fascist police state could be on the way. So this video is going to address the second scenario with how you should prepare yourself and what you can do to survive that and to thrive in that if it should come about. So the first thing I want to talk about is your interface with these governments, and that's generally done through a license or a passport. And you want to make sure these things are intact 100%. Smooth out any issues you have with that. If you can clear your record up, do that. Any little issues, any little warrants for even BS infractions, you're gonna want to clear that up now, because what happens is if that's not 100%, it makes it really easy to make those people into second-class citizens. They don't have the same rights, and it's harder for them to move about. So it's an easy way, hopefully an easy way to make sure that you have the maximum rights or corporate privileges, whatever, and you can move around, you can live freely. And along with that, you're not going to want to be traveling if the paperwork is not, you're not going to want to be traveling in a registered car if the paperwork is not 100%. So if you don't have if you contracted to have insurance, or you contracted to have registration, you're going to want to make sure that's all intact. If it's not all intact, find another mode of transportation, whether it be a bicycle, whether you walk, public transportation, whatever. You're going to not want to be traveling in the cars without all your paperwork being 100%. A lot of problems happen, even now, even the past, 50 years, who knows? A lot of problems happen by not having those contracts 100% intact. And also, of course, with the passport, you're going to want to be able to leave if you have to. If it gets hairy, if any system becomes dangerous or malicious, you're going to want to be able to leave. So make sure you get your license or the license contract in order, and make sure your passport is in order if you can do that also. Along with that, or related to that, is the issue of arming yourself. So, of course, the easiest way to arm yourself is using that state contract in your area and just going to a gun store and getting busy, looking at the options, and you're going to want to do your research, obviously, and you're going to want to look beyond pistols. Like, pistols are good, pistols are portable, but you're going to want to look beyond that. If you have to defend yourself, if you have to defend your freedom, you're going to want to look beyond pistol options. And two things you're going to really want to look for are dependability, what's rugged, what can get dirty and not malfunction. And the other thing you're going to want to look for are options that are very common. It doesn't help if you have something that's very rugged if you have to go to the moon to find parts or to repair it. So dependability in arms, and also common arms, things that are easy to get access to. Let's talk about where you're living. So a lot of preppers, a lot of people on YouTube, they say the city is, the city's bad. That's the worst place you could be, is the city. Well, it depends. If you look like the people in the city, it might not be your worst option. It might actually be a great option. For example, the Klan is not going to come to the hood and burn crosses. It's just probably not going to ever happen. Even if they had lawns, it's probably not going to happen. So, consider one man's danger zone might be another man's safe haven. If you're going to move to the hood, if you're going to move to a city, especially the hood within the city, I would say definitely you're going to want to look for elders. A block that's at least half elders, people who've been living there a long time. They still got that southern culture. They speak, they greet each other. It's more of a community. I've seen people in the hood, they'll be like, give me some cooking oil, give me some sugar, whatever. And it's almost like, obligatory, where I've lived in, neighborhoods with yuppies and they don't greet each other. It's like robots for real. Like, you could be living right next door to someone. They come out the house, they see each other. They don't speak at all. That's not the kind of situation you want to be in if you have to protect yourself. You want communities. You want people working together. And that first unit in the city is the block. So you're going to want to choose blocks that have a lot of elders. Hopefully we'll get, the youth culture more on board with a functional culture. But the elders, you get some good elders, that's gonna be a good situation for you if you're gonna live in the city, And nothing against homesteading. If you have 100 acres or whatever, that's a good situation too. We're going to talk about food in a second. That's a great situation. Farming or whatever. You have more land to do everything you need to do. But it's harder to defend. It's easier to isolate someone who's by themselves or has a small unit on 100 acres of land than it is somebody who's just on a block. You know what I mean? So think about living around people like yourself. Think about living in communities where you share a culture, where you share a look sometimes. That's going to be certainly safer than living around people who don't like you. Especially if things get polarized, you're not going to want to be the only one like you in an area. That's very dangerous. So we talked about arms, we talked about where you're living, we talked about making sure your paperwork and your contracts in order. I have notes, I hope that's okay. Okay, let's get to the food. So even if you're in the city, you can grow food. You can grow food year round. Do the research. Maybe we'll do a show on that. But you want to be, in general, you want to be in control of your food. You don't have to produce all the food that you eat, but you want to start looking towards producing more of your food. You want to look towards having stores of food and not being 100% reliant on the grocery store. Also, you want to look towards not being 100% reliant on your job, especially if you have a boss. That's very dangerous living. You want to have multiple streams of income, and you want to be able to support yourself and support your household if a company downsizes or if a company decides that they want to let you go. That should not be the end of your resources right there. You're putting if that's the case, and you're putting your whole life and livelihood in the hands of someone else. And really, the point of this video is not doing that. So you want to get away from people who look to the government to save problems. You definitely want to get away from people who call 911 for every emergency and call 911 to fix domestic problems. Very dangerous, especially if a Euro-fascist police state comes into play. You're not going to want those people around you. Get away from cowards. Get away from people who are not interested in solving their own problems. It's always been dangerous, but if a nasty regime comes into play, it's going to be super dangerous. Thank you.